Everyone. Good evening to those watching online. Welcome to today's talk, Patience as Strength, Confidence, Faith and Tolerance by Jasu Ladva. She has been a teacher of Raj Yoga meditation for over 40 years. She is based in Global Cooperation House, which is the headquarters of Brahma Kumaris. She oversees various departments, which include setting up the stage, flowers, and also looking after Raj Yoga students. She is also a very good cook. So I'm very excited for today's talk, and I would like to now invite her on the stage.
All right. Good evening. Hello and Om Shanti. Lovely to be here with all of you. Tonight's topic, Patience as Strength. Living in Global House, we live together as a family. And many sisters, as soon as I mentioned to them, I'm going to Wembley to do this talk, they started laughing because they know me and they know the way I work. Patience is not a quality that they actually associate with me because I do everything so fast and in a rushed manner. So they're saying it's a challenge, I'm sure, for you. And I accepted this title because I thought this is something that I'm actually working towards, trying to slow down the thoughts in your mind, slow down the way you walk, slow your speaking, and that helps you create an energy of calm and steadiness. So I thought it's something appropriate for me to accept this title and to be moving out of my comfort zone, to be able to do something in a different manner. As I was just sitting in the meditation room, I was thinking about some of the seniors that I've been with. And I was thinking that our head, Daddy Janki, looking at her, she had a busy schedule and she was constantly doing something or the other. But looking at her, the feeling came that she never allowed herself to be rushed. Anytime you rush someone, what tends to happen? Things go wrong. You begin to make mistakes. And with our Dadi, she would be sitting calmly, making sure that she's not allowing herself to be distracted by whatever is happening. She would just focus on whatever is the situation in front of her at that particular moment and be very patient with that person. Many people would come to see her with their problems, and Dadi would just sit there, listen to them with love, give them her time. And sometimes they took longer than what she had in mind, but it didn't matter. Dadi had to make sure that the person that she's serving, the person she's in front of, is able to go away being happy and content. And so she would give extra time. This requires a lot of patience. So I was just thinking that it was great to be able to observe Dadi in this way. She taught us many things, and this was one of them. To always be in the now, not to allow yourself to be thinking about the past, not to be thinking about the future. Just be stable in the present. The thing that comes to mind about patience, again, Dadi used to have these 5 qualities. And thinking about the 5 qualities, it was like patience was the pivot for all the other 4. And she always used to speak about these 5 qualities: purity, truth, patience, maturity, and sweetness. And being in this spiritual path, being on this spiritual path, everything depends upon purity. And purity is not just celibacy. Purity is not just pure words, but purity is the intention behind. What is your intention within? The motive with which you're doing something. It's a purity of motives and intentions. When there is that clear motive, a pure motive, you're doing everything altruistically, then you're not seeking anything. There's no expectation. You're able to serve from your heart and give others exactly what they need because you're not expecting a return. Talking about truth, living with that truth, being true to the self. How can I be true to myself? Accepting myself as I am. Living with my truth means I know who I am. I know what are my strengths. I know what are my weaknesses. And when I know these, then I can work on them. And I can be patient with myself, working on these things. Then I don't expect overnight transformation. Working on yourself, putting effort on the self, it's not that just because you made 1 hour of effort on yourself, you're going to expect instant transformation, because there are some things that take time. And in the same way, transformation of the self, growth of the self is something that takes time. Talking about patience. Patience means not just not rushing into everything, but having that self-control, having discipline. Sometimes people think that just because I'm doing everything in a rushed manner, I'm doing everything very instantly, it means that I don't have any patience. That's true to a certain extent. Sometimes people think this person's not responding, not saying anything. That's their patience. But that's not true patience. True patience comes from being able to have that self control so that you're not reactive. You're able to take a pause. When I was in Madhuban recently, I'd asked one of the seniors, what should I be paying attention to? And the instant response was not to be reactive. Count to 4. This is patience, being able to step back, not instantly give a reply, which is being reactive, but to give a response. And I think Sister Daksha would understand what I'm talking about when she knows how I work and everything. There's always an instant response, reaction. Huh? Madhubana headquarters of the Brahma Kumaris in India. And we go there annually for our annual pilgrimage. At least I do. And so this time I was there in March. And while I was there, then when I was leaving, I was just asking one of the senior sisters. And so again, that thing came to mind. And this is something that I've been wanting to do anyway, to slow down and to trust what happens when you're doing everything slowly. Because I have an attitude of thinking that everything has to happen fast, fast, fast. And just because I'm working fast, I expect everyone else to work fast also. But you don't always get the results that you want when you do that. So I was thinking that if I slow down, I'm able to communicate properly with other people, then I'll be able to get better results. Relationships with others will be very good also in that way. What tends to happen is when you in rushing, you speak quickly. You don't allow the other person to actually have that time to listen properly and then to be able to understand. If you give them the time to actually, if I've taken the time to speak slowly, I give them the time to listen and then to be able to understand, then I know that whatever I've asked them to do, they will do it properly. What tends to happen is I'm often working in the kitchen and there's so many mothers there who are helping me. And in my rushing around, I give them a direction to do something. But then I don't stop to actually check that that direction has been understood properly and then to be carried out in the way that I expect it to be done. And then I get disappointed when they don't do it in the way that I've asked them to do. But I don't stop to actually ask whether they've understood properly what I asked them to do. So patience is actually being able to communicate properly in the way that someone is able to understand and then carry out that particular direction. So this is something that I'm working on within myself. So to be able to be a little bit calmer with the people that I'm working with. So patience in relationships with others, patience in working with others. And so being able to be calmer means to be considering everything that's happening around you, considering the people that are working around you, knowing that each one doesn't work at the same speed. Each one's speed is different. And so to be able to be considerate of their speed of working, to be considerate of the way that they're working, to accept that, accepting the process, knowing that even though they're slow, they will still be able to give me the result, the outcome of what's been asked of them, to have that faith, to have that trust in them. If I'm giving someone a job to do and I don't have the faith or the trust in that they're going to actually able to deliver, then it's actually going to disappoint me if I'm not having that trust. So patience means allowing myself to have that trust in others with the work that's been given to them, to give them that time and space to carry it out, but then to actually do the work also. Considerate, accepting, and then not to become heavy, but to be light. To be light in that process, knowing that when I am light with myself, I'm able to be light with others. And in that lightness, you're able to do things very easily. When I become heavy, I create a heavy atmosphere around myself. What's going to happen? Everyone will become heavier also. And in a heavy atmosphere, when you're trying to do something, things always go wrong. Where there's an atmosphere of lightness, easiness, and happiness, you find that you're able to rectify what's gone wrong. But where there's an atmosphere of heaviness, then even though something is happening correctly, but that heaviness will create extra thoughts in the people's minds, and that will make things go wrong. And so to always be light. Again, this is one of the mantras that Sister Jayanti always gives us. Sister Jayanti, you ask her for some guidance, some advice, and she'll say, just be light and easy. Light and easy within yourself, within your mind, and with everyone else. So to be light. And then making space. Is defining the word calm. Consider, accept, lighten, and making space. Making space by removing the clutter. There's so much clutter around ourselves, we don't realize how much there is. At the moment in the place where I stay, Global Corporation House, where I'm working, we're having the kitchen redone a little bit, and we had to remove everything, empty the kitchen. When you're in the kitchen and you see everything, it feels like everything is there in place. When you take it all out, you realize how much unnecessary things there are also. And sometimes so many things are put in 2 or 3 different places, the same thing in 3 different places. Then you realize how extra space is being taken up by little things. Same thing happens within our minds also. We keep on thinking about so many situations, one situation, and yet we think about it in so many different ways. Our mind goes into so many different tangents because of that. And so just allowing that space to remove the clutter, make space to make sure that there's no unnecessary things there. There's no unnecessary thoughts in the mind. So removing all of that clutter. When I'm able to be calm in this way, then I realize that I'm able to make decisions that are steady, not decisions based on instant responses, but decisions that are made with consideration, decisions that are made with pure thinking. Means you've allowed yourself the time to think out the process, and then you wait for the result. As I said, there's not going to be instant transformation. You've made effort over something, and you know that the outcome of that is going to take some time. But the ultimate result of that is going to be something that you will enjoy. When you plant a seed, you're not going to see the tree full of fruits instantly overnight. You plant the seed and you wait for it to grow, for the plant to emerge. And then when the plant emerges and it grows, a bigger plant, and then you're able to see the beautiful flowers. You're able to feel the fragrance, smell the fragrance. A big tree growing up, it's taking years to grow up, but then when it's time for it to bear fruit, you see the fruit and it's giving you the sweetness. That hasn't happened overnight. You've allowed the tree time to grow, time to mature, and then it's filled with that humility. A tree laden with fruit is bowing down. Bowing down is a sign of humility. And so when you actually allow yourself to bow down, be humble, then you realize the beauty within. The beauty within, and that allows you to experience your own originality, your own sweetness, but then others also are able to experience that sweetness in you. And so again, coming back to that 5 qualities that our daddy always used to speak of, that when you are humble, others will be able to find you approachable. When you're approachable, then they'll come to you. They'll want to share your sweetness also. Where there isn't that humility, the feeling is, I already know everything, I can do everything by myself. Then you find you're actually creating an energy around yourself of not wanting any help, of not receiving any cooperation, because you give the feeling as though you can manage by yourself. But in fact, nothing can be done alone. Patience is something that you learn when you're working with others also. Being by yourself, you can do whatever you want in your own time, but there's always deadlines to everything. And nothing can be done by the self alone. And so taking everyone's cooperation, taking help from everyone else, we're able to actually reach the destination of whatever it is that you want to accomplish. You might have a task set to do, but you alone cannot do it. You need other people's help. Working with each one patiently, then you're able to achieve that task. If you try to do it yourself, it will take you so much longer, a lot of strength, you'll tire yourself out, you won't be able to achieve anything. So these are just some of the practical examples that I'm sharing with you of what happens daily in the house where I'm staying. So from morning to night, so many different things come in front of you, and it tests you, really tests you in the sense that on the path of spirituality, we are practicing meditation, which means slowing down, being calm, being responsive, responsible, rather than reactive. And all of these things require a lot of patience. But patience at the end of the day, we always say, is something that brings sweet fruit. In Hindi, we have a saying, Dheeraj ka phal meetha. So if you're rushing something, it's not going to give you the result that you want. You allow the thing to mature properly over its time, and you'll find that the fruit from that is very sweet. And so having patience with other people also, the relationship with one another will be a relationship that's filled with understanding, a relationship that's filled with love and tolerance, because you're able to understand one another. You're able to understand their weaknesses as well as your own weaknesses. Then you're not expecting anything out of the ordinary from them. You know how far you can actually go with them. You know how far you can trust them with whatever task it is, because you're aware of their capabilities. But if that understanding is not there, and you ask someone to do something and they don't do it, because of not having that understanding, there's going to be disappointment. And the disappointment is something that I have to face. It's not something that I blame others on, because I'm expecting someone to do something that they're not capable of. Having patience means I'm able to actually understand and accept them as they are. And then being light and flexible with them to be able to not rush them into anything, but giving them that space, giving them that time to do something like that. So being patient within myself, with my time, with my words, with my thoughts. First and foremost, it begins with the thoughts within my mind. To be able to experience the stillness within. If I'm able to experience the stillness within, then I'm able to remain stable. Patience is something that allows me to remain stable. Without patience, I won't be stable, because what happens is when there isn't patience, when I'm becoming impatient, together with that impatience, the mind is also running, the thoughts are running, and everything is happening so fast within the mind. And I'm not able to be steady in that process. So then, whatever decisions I make, they're not going to be the right decisions because they're coming in a rush. Being able to be still, being able to be stable, that's going to allow me to make decisions that are completely steady, that are going to be working for me in the process that I actually have. Coming back to this thing about purity, our daddy always used to have 3 words with it: purity, cleanliness, and simplicity. In order to have patience, I try to keep everything simple. I try to keep everything clear. If things are complicated, it's going to take a lot of rationalizing within my mind, trying to understand everything. Without patience, I won't be able to do that. Being able to be patient within the self, to be able to understand things as it is. If there are complex things happening in front of me, I won't be able to do that. But if life is simple, if everything is simple, I won't need to tax my mind into trying to solve some of those things so that I can then move forward. Patience is actually everything about moving forward, but at a steady pace, without rushing, without forcing. Often, because I'm not able to do something, I put that force onto others. Patience is allowing people to do everything within their own time space. If I'm forcing them to do something, I'm not going to get the result that I'm wanting to have. Often, giving someone something to do and then expecting a particular result from that process, I get disappointed in that process because I haven't got the patience in other people. Just seeing many situations like this where the disappointments are there because of the lack of trust, lack of faith. And so realizing how important it is to have that faith and trust in other people, allowing them to do everything with their own capacity. I can't increase anyone else's capacity, but I can increase my own ability. My ability to understand myself, my ability to understand others. And through that ability of understanding others, to actually be so compassionate and not forcing them to do anything, allowing them to actually do everything in a very light and easy manner. Just thinking about this whole aspect of impatience and rushing around. And this is when accidents happen. The thing that's coming to mind now is why we're actually having something done in our kitchen. It's a floor, working in a small area. Often there's water there, and many of us have slipped there because of the water. And so they were saying health and safety especially requested that we should have non-slip flooring there because many have fallen there. And then there was a group of people discussing this, and we were thinking that some people are saying that we should have the whole floor done. Some people are saying we shouldn't have it done. But then I was thinking, why is it that someone falls there? It's not because of the floor, actually. It's because of the person that's rushing. If I wasn't rushing, I wouldn't slip in the water. If I'm walking carefully, treading carefully, then even though there's water there, when you tread carefully, you know that you're not going to slip. Doesn't matter what kind of footwear you're wearing, because you've taken the time and caution to walk slowly over that floor. Sometimes you don't notice the water, you're rushing quickly, you're looking up there rather than looking down there. And so what happens? The water makes you slip. It's not the fault of the water, it's not the fault of the floor, it's the fault of the person who's rushing. But then you say, it doesn't matter. So if you take the time, if you allow yourself that space to slow down, then you'll find that you're not actually going through these accidents of suddenly falling down. And then, of course, what happens when you have a fall, especially in old age? In old age, when you have a fall, then you're that much more vulnerable, breaking bones and whatever, and that takes so much extra time to actually recover also. So living in a community at the present moment is like that kind of community where there's so many vulnerable people around, and so you have to be that much more careful. But it also makes me understand how we have to be that much more patient with everyone also, because everything slows down. A young person, you tell them something to do, they're able to do that instantly. An older person, you ask them to do something, they don't have the same speed, they don't have the same energy. Everything is so different. So whatever you are asking someone now, when they were 40 years old, 20 years later, they're 60 years old, and you ask them to do the same thing. Obviously, they're not going to be able to do it at the same speed. But my expectation is still the same. I expect someone to do the same thing in the same way as they were doing 20 years ago. Whose fault is that? Everyone is not going to be doing the same thing in the same way all the time. As they grow older, everything slows down. But then I have to learn to be patient with that they're not going to be able to do everything at the same speed. And so just seeing how life brings so many situations in front of us that teaches us so many different lessons if we are actually willing to just look around. Walking in a garden. If you're walking in a garden and you rush through the garden, are you going to be able to enjoy the beauty of the garden? You'll miss the beauty of the flowers, you'll miss the fragrance of the flowers if you're just going to rush past there. Going to the park, you go to the park to enjoy yourself. So you walk slowly, you take in everything that's around yourself. Being patient with yourself, being patient with nature, able to take in the beauty of the nature that is there. If I go to the park and I just walk very fast and just within 10 minutes I've finished my walk, am I going to be able to enjoy the beauty of the park, the beauty of the nature that's there? I'm not. And so allowing myself that time and space to enjoy life, to enjoy nature, all of that, for all of that, I need to have that patience rather than just rushing through everything. And so I think for myself, the most important lesson is to be actually lenient with the self, to be soft with the self, not being hard on the self, and allowing the self to take that time. It doesn't matter that it takes that much extra time. Talking about not expecting someone else to do something the same way, I think I have to have that same acceptance for myself, that I don't have the same capacity as I had 20 years ago. When I was 20, I was doing many things, but now at 60, I can't do the same things. But if I'm still going around thinking that I'm going to be able to do the same things, then that is actually my foolishness, thinking that I'm able to continue in the same way. And so often I've had people tell me, even now, you're no longer just 20 years old, you don't have the same energy, so you have to actually be careful. But in my mind, I keep on thinking, I'm still just as young, and so it doesn't matter. But they say, no, you have to be careful. So the tendency for the self is not to accept the change within the self, because you think that you've still got the same energy and you can continue in the same way. But patience is something that teaches you that no, you now have to slow down. You don't have the same energy, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you have slowed down. You don't have the same energy. You can still continue to do as much as you want with a little less energy, but still able to get the same result. And so not being hard with yourself in that way, that you're not able to do the same thing that you were able to do while you was young. I think this is where you're actually able to enjoy life, when you move at the time, move with the same speed as time is moving. And so if you've grown older, it doesn't matter. You'll learn to enjoy life at a slower pace. Not that you have to rush through everything and only then can you enjoy it. But to enjoy life at a slower pace, you're going to be able to enjoy the beauty of everything and everyone else around you also. So I think those were just a few thoughts that I had for today. Don't know if anyone wants to share anything or have any questions. Finished earlier than I'm supposed to, but never mind. How to? How do I build the patience? How do I develop patience? By being patient. I think the slogan that we need to remember is, we are human beings and not human doings. And so we have to be rather than do. And in today's world, which is moving at such a fast pace, fast speed in everything, I'm expecting to be moving at fast speed in everything I'm doing also. And I forget to be. So when I'm talking about being, I'm talking about being peaceful, being calm, being steady. So if I'm actually not being this and I'm concentrating on just doing, I'm just concentrating on doing from morning to night, I'm just doing and doing and doing. And I often find that from morning to night, you finish one activity, and before you finish that activity, another activity is waiting for you, another task to be done, another task to be done. And so you're just continuously going from one task to another to another. And in this, you forget to have that space for yourself. So to develop that patience, to slow down, to give yourself a moment of breathing space in between. If I'm rushing through from one to another, I'm not going to be able to achieve anything. But if I actually slow down, take a breathing space in between, and then move to the next one, then you'll find that whatever energy you need to give to the next task, it will be energy that is actually filled with the resolve to make that task fulfilled. Rather than what happens is you do one activity and you go into the other straight away. You haven't yet finished this one fully, and you go into the next one. The energy is not right because you haven't yet finished something properly and you've gone into the other one. So you're starting something with not positive energy. And so if you actually take a breathing space in between, allowing yourself a moment in between, and then you continue with that. It's like giving yourself margin to actually stop for a second, to give yourself that energy to start the next activity, the next task. Sometimes you think that there's not enough time, and so you just continue from one to the other. Patience is about giving yourself time to stop for a moment. And you'll find that stopping for a moment and re-energizing yourself in those few seconds is going to give you that much more power within the self to do the next activity that much more calmly and peacefully to give you the result that you want. Going into the activity straight from one to the other, the mind is already rushed. And while it's being rushed and you start the next activity in that energy, then you're not going to be able to achieve the result that you want because you haven't given it that breathing space. Make sense?
Just want to, I just wanted to, just what you were sharing about our former administrative head, Dadi Janki, late Dadi Janki, that she did take time, but it wasn't like she wasn't doing anything. So in that time, she would have more clarity as to what needs to be done. And that's why the impact was far more greater. And, that just few minutes of spending with her or taking directions from her, we remembered it for eternity, right? And so this is where I think we have to understand those who focus on doing more than being, is that really what am I trying to achieve? And if the change or the transformation or the work, whatever needs to be done, can be done with that patience and taking those moments, get clarity, get power, like you mentioned, then why not? Why not are we consistent? So that is something be good to work at. And also, when you were talking about reactiveness, I was thinking, why do we react so much? It's often, we want to prove something right. And I often have shared this saying before, and I'll share it again, that if I had to choose between being right and kind, let me choose to be kind. So then I know I'm right. But even though I'm right, but we forget that it might be just my perspective. And for others, it may not be right. So that's, I just wanted to clarify, when you talked about reactiveness, and I know when that has happened with me or I've done it, when you step back and look at it, was I really the only one who's right? So when we see a bigger picture and go into the unlimited, then that is just my perspective. For somebody, it may be totally different. I don't need to be like them necessarily, but I cannot impose my understanding on them either. So that's when we stop reacting and more accepting.
Thank you.
There's some thoughts there.
And talking about focus, and I was just thinking that patience is something that allows you to remain focused. Often you think you just have to get things done, and so you do everything quickly. But with patience, you're able to remain focused on what it is that you need to do. Without that patience, you can't stay focused. It's so very important to have the patience to maintain the focus of what it is that I want to achieve for myself. I've got the goal in front of me. I know what it is that I want to achieve, but I can't rush through everything to actually achieve that goal. But patience allows me to remain focused on that goal so that I don't get distracted. I don't actually change my direction of making effort. whatever effort I need to make, I remain focused on that, and that will make sure that I definitely achieve whatever goal I have set for myself. If I'm rushing through things, very easy for me to forget the goal, and then I'm not able to actually achieve what it is that I wanted to do, what I set out for myself. To stay calm, to remain focused. Patience allows me to do that. Any comments from anyone else? Any experiences that you've had of your patience or impatience? Often someone says, trying to remember this thing, but I can't remember it fully. There's this saying about how long is a year, how long is a month, how long is a week, and you ask different people of how long it is. And I say, how long is a day, how long is an hour, how long is a second? But all of these different things, they have different meanings. Like they're saying, I can't remember the second half of it, but it was like so many different time spans. And within that, then you actually realize the value of that. I don't know if you remember it. Any experiences that you've had whereby you've not been patient with someone, and as a result, you have actually caused hurt or sorrow to yourself? This is what happens when you're being impatient with others. Being impatient, I remember once I had gone somewhere on a trip with our head, Dadi Janki, as Lakshaban mentioned, and I had gone to do some cooking for her. There was another sister in the kitchen. She was doing cooking generally for the rest of the group, and I was doing cooking for Dadi. And I wanted something. We were both cooking side by side, just doing the preparation. And I asked her to pass me something. I said, can you pass me that? And she couldn't hear me. I didn't realize that she was short of hearing. 2-3 times I said, can you pass me? It's just there. Can you pass it to me? And she didn't hear it. And I said, are you deaf as well as blind? And I made that comment. And I had made it just in a very light manner because that thing was there just in front and she wasn't able to see it. And when I came back from a trip, a few days later, a senior sister mentioned to me that that person was very hurt with this comment. They didn't say which comment, but they said that they were very hurt about something you had said. And then I asked what it was, and they said that this was the comment. And I said I had made it in a very kind of natural way without understanding anything about that person. And you know, when you tell someone it's just there in front of you, can you not see it? And you just make a comment just like that. And this is what I had done. But then because she was short of hearing, then it made a big difference to their acceptance of it. And that made me realize that I can't expect everyone to be 100% in everything. And so that much more careful, especially as I mentioned that in the community where we are now, it's such an older generation and you're working with those people. So you have to make sure that they've actually heard you also. So you can't, it's taught me a lesson of not going around making comments like that. Can you not see? Can you not hear? Because you don't know what each one is able to do or not. And this is my impatience with them, that I wanted to get something done and I'm saying, just pass that to me, just pass that to me. And she wasn't able to hear what I was asking for. And I was saying that, why can't you give it to me? She hadn't heard me, so that's why she couldn't give it to me. And I didn't know that she was short of hearing. It's only afterwards that I found out. So, like they say, don't judge a book by its cover. don't judge a person by what you see, because even though you see them that they're 100%, but you don't know what their capability is. They might not be able to be hearing, they might not be able to see. And so not expecting everyone to be the same in that way. And just because you're seeing them as perfect doesn't mean that they are perfect. Some people are short of hearing, but they don't want to wear the hearing aid. But you can't blame them. They can't live with it. They're not comfortable with it. So then I still have to be patient with them. So accepting people for their weaknesses and their strengths, the same as you accept yourself with your own weaknesses and strengths. And in this way, you're able to move along life comfortably. But if you're not able to accept in that way, then that's going to be a difficulty for me then, for the self. Mm.
Just also wanted to mention about, the saying in Hindi, "Dheeraj ke phal meethe." So when you allow time, the fruition is more sweeter. Just for anything like whether it's crops, vegetation, fruits, you pluck them ripe, raw, then it often is quite poisonous. It's quite damaging to your health, as opposed to naturally grown with that ripeness.
That's why they say that it's more important to eat the seasonal fruit that is ripe from the tree, or that it will be ripe at the time of the season. If it's out of season and you eat it, it's not going to be the same. So you enjoy the fruits of the season, that's going to give you more strength. But you accept something out of season, it's not going to be of the same sweetness. So to actually experience the sweetness of life also, to enjoy the present moment. If you're going to be thinking of the past in the present, you're not going to be able to enjoy the present. You're thinking about the future, it's not even come yet. So you're not enjoying the present and you've gone into the future. So you miss out the present. So very important to actually be in the present moment to enjoy the sweetness of life, what life is giving to us at the present moment. This was a very important lesson that was taught to us by Adadi, that not to rush through anything and to take time over whatever needs to be done at the present moment. If you enjoy the present moment, then you know that you're enjoying life. But if you're not in the present, you're not in the now, then it's like wasting time. And so not allowing yourself to waste time in this way.
Other questions, comments? We'll finish with some meditation.
Sitting quietly. You want to say something, Dr. Ben?
You're going to guide them.
Sitting quietly, focusing on the self, the being, the point of light in the center of the forehead. Allowing the mind to become still, holding on to just one thought. I am peace. To allow the self to experience that peace within. I, the soul, am filled with love, peace, wisdom, allowing these qualities to radiate naturally from within the self. Thinking of peace, let the rays of peace emerge from the self and radiate over the world. I, the soul, the being of love, radiating love to all souls of the world who are thirsty for this, the love of God, the divine, the supreme, love that is unconditional, love that is altruistic, without expectations, love that allows me to be myself, that allows me to accept myself as I am. God's love gives me the power to accept my strengths and my weaknesses. Then I don't feel impatient with myself, knowing that I have so many imperfections. God's love gives me the power to accept everything in myself and to move forward, giving me the patience to bring about change, to bring about transformation in myself. My vision for all my brothers and sisters also changes when I learn to love myself with those weaknesses. Everything that comes to me is a stepping stone, a chance for me to move forward, putting aside all the differences, putting aside whatever differences or conflicts there may be, but just learning to have that patience and to be loving with each one, knowing that we are all on the same spiritual journey. With patience, each one will reach his or her destination of perfection with beautiful experiences along the journey. learning to enjoy those experiences, regardless of whether they are good or bad, with the patience to accept everything as it is. Learning to have love for the self and waiting for the magic to happen. Waiting for the magic of seeing myself change from a thorn into a beautiful flower, a beautiful fragrant flower, sharing that sweetness with everyone, sharing the love with everyone. Having the patience to accept, accepting myself as I am at the moment, and looking forward to seeing my original self, the perfect being, the being of perfection, full of love, purity, truth, divinity. When I'm patient with myself, I'm able to experience and taste the sweetness of all of these qualities. Sweetness shared with others increases the sweetness within the self. Let me just be in that stillness, filling the self with that power of the Supreme for a minute or two. Total stillness, total silence. Having filled the self with the power of the divine, the love of the divine, let me share that with everyone who comes across me. Just having a vision of a world filled with God's love, God's power, and God's truth. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Sister Jasu, for a lovely talk. I'm sure that you mentioned a lot of practical tips. One thing that I'm taking away for myself is before reacting, count till 4. A really nice one. Some of the announcements about events happening in the house. Next Tuesday, same place and same time, we have another talk called Rebuilding Trust. On Sunday mornings, we have got online morning meditation from 10 a.m. to 10:45, and you can register on the website. We have got a couple of courses starting this month, both on 2nd June. First one is Raj Yoga Morning Meditation course, which is online from 2nd June to 8th June, every day, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. Second course is again Raj Yoga meditation course, but this would be in-house, and it's on Mondays and Thursday, 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Then we have got another in-house course called Emerging Stronger, Learning from the Past, which is in-house 18th and 19th June, Wednesday and Thursday, 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. We have also got reflective meditation, which is on Mondays and Thursdays, in-house and online, 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. This is going to be a 30-minute meditation, and you're always welcome to use our quiet room whenever you wish to, and the house is open from 10:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. For any more information, you can go to reception and connect with one of us. The product of the week is this small but a very powerful book called The Pocket Book on Virtue. It's like a dictionary, but of virtues. It has also got a section on patience. I'll just read that out, which says, there are many reasons why people oppose each other: misunderstanding, resistance to change, and competitiveness. If someone decides to hold on to their negativity, no amount of analyzing or reasoning can ease the situation. At such times, only patience and more patience will help a closed mind gently unfurl itself. It's a really nice book. It's by Dadi Janki, as was mentioned a few times in the talk. So do check it out, and it's £2.50. Thank you.
Thank you.